So I'm now got the pleasure of introducing both Jonathan and Bernard, who are going to talk about Elasticsearch and the benefits and differences that it has over the standard Koha Zebra search. Okay, so I'll just hand over to you guys. Thank you.
Great, thanks very much. Hopefully you're seeing my screen okay here. Yeah, so we thought be a good opportunity just to talk a little bit about Elasticsearch today. And I perhaps ought to preface it by thanking in particular the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland, who have been instrumental in sort of pushing us down this path and helping us with testing Elasticsearch since it's sort of become production ready. And they've had some really great sort of search examples that have been really tested it and have tested us. So it's been really helpful having them. And then they're now in production with Elasticsearch. So that's been terrific, just as a backdrop. So thank you for that. So just sort of really some context, and then Bernard's going to just show you around a bit. So Zebra, which is the back-end search engine for Koha, historically has been around for a long time now. It is very bibliocentric. So by that, I mean, it's very focused on indexing mark data. Now you can customize Zebra. That it is possible to do that, but it requires accessing files on the server. You also need sort of expert knowledge of Zebra, which is in limited supply. In contrast, Elasticsearch is, as you probably know, a big enterprise search engine. One of the good things about it is it's really well documented, so that there really isn't anything you can't find out about it if you need to find out more. It's built on Apache Lucene, which again, widely adopted, widely used. And Elastic it is very flexible. The thing with Zebra, it's really, although it's very stable, it's been around a long time, it is a black box essentially in terms of the way it's installed. And there are actually a lot of advantages and benefits of that, which we'll talk about a little bit later on. But the other thing to really say about Elastic is that it is, right now, it is the sort of, I guess, the most popular search engine out there. It's used widely in enterprise situations. So you may be aware that people like Wikipedia, Facebook, eBay, GitHub, they all use it as their back-end search engine. And that does potentially offer a lot of options in the future. Right now, it's really all we've done is switched Zebra for Elastic, but potentially going forward, it offers opportunities in terms of indexing other types of data. So I'm talking about non-marked data here, potentially ebook data, journal articles, so on and so forth. Now, as Martin will attest to, the change in the Koha code base has been substantial to accommodate Elasticsearch. But in terms of the end user experience, you're not going to see a big sort of in-your-face change. It's worth saying that. So it's not like the colors have changed or the styling or anything. It's a lot of it is under the hood. But nonetheless, important change. So I guess why Elasticsearch? Well, the main thing, I guess, is the searching syntax is probably more intuitive and in line with what people are used to in this day and age. So the sort of things, sort of searching techniques you use in Google, you use in Bing and other search engines, it's more in line with that. Just really sort of simple, basic sort of searching things that you expect from those big enterprise search engines. You get delivered a really good set of default indexes for marked data. If you do use the common command language, which is probably a bit more of a niche thing, but that's well supported in Zebra, but that's also supported in Elastic as well. Elastic's default operator is AND. So again, really that just falls in line with most enterprise sort of search engines really, and things like Google and Bing and so And Elastic easily distinguishes between terms, might be a term and what might be an operator. So the example there, the world is not enough versus the world is not enough. So the capitalization of stop words allows you to use the operators in that way. I guess more importantly, going forward, the vast majority of development focus now is on Elasticsearch rather than Zebra. So in a way, it is the direction of travel. And as I sort of said, there is still more that can be done with Elastic. So we've only really scratched the surface by sort of converting sort of Zebra into Elastic. But I think an important thing is the statement it makes in terms of it does give Koha a state-of-the-art search engine that's widely used out there in the field, and it keeps Koha vibrant, current, with modern day technology. So that's really the introduction. I'm just going to hand over to Bernard now to talk a little bit more about some of the detail of that and give us a few examples.
Yeah, thanks, Jonathan.
Very happy to click for you.
No, I'll take this. Oh,
Okay.
You stop and I'll take over.
Okay. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. There we go. Share screen. Right. Can we see that?
Yeah.
Great. Okay, thanks, Jonathan. So yeah, I'm just going to run through a few more bits. We've already mentioned this. This is so great that you can actually now use some Boolean operators properly by capitalizing them. And there are plenty more like that. So you can use proper phrase searching now by putting things in quotes. So what you're seeing is far more similar to what users who will be coming to your system will be used to if they've used other systems before. Well, of course they will, like Google or Bing. There is a parentheses support. Well, this is like nesting. So in that statement, I think we should be able to click through here into the RCS's catalog. So what it's doing there is it's doing Labohem first as the search, and then within that adding DVD. So you can see that what it's retrieving as a result of that, they're all audio visual stuff. So that's a nice little thing. Relevance ranking is very much improved and very much more configurable in with Elasticsearch, and we were talking a little bit about that. There are some other nifty features that sometimes you find proximity searching. So by using the tilde character there with a number, you can say the word Batman has to appear within 2 of Robin. And you can, there's built-in relevance ranking, which we will look at, you can actually, the end user can artificially promote the relevance ranking by using the caret symbol along with a number. So in this search, it's saying give the word Haydn the most relevance, then Salieri the next most, and Mozart the least most relevance. So it's really highly tunable in that sense. So those are what the end user will see. From the point of view of us and you as supporting your systems and making your systems work as you need them to work, we have now tools which explain why search works as it does. So what we were saying earlier about Zebra being a bit of a black box, it always made it a bit difficult for us to explain why things were happening as they were. We can now actually run commands to show us exactly what the search engine is doing. So at least we will know why something is happening, which is always a good start in troubleshooting. You can now configure the relevance ranking weightings in the staff client. There's a new screen for that, which we'll be looking at in a sec. This is such a great one that we have now a worldwide user community to approach if we get stuck, because Elastic is used in so many contexts in enterprise organizations. So we can actually go on Google and, we're likely to get an answer somewhere for almost anything that could ever be thrown at us. And a nice new feature here is you can decide which facets you would like to display in your OPAC or which facets you would not want to display. And those that you do display, you can decide what order you want them to appear in. So that's rather good. And the relevance rankings that we'll look at, you can actually change them on the fly. That means you don't even need to re-index. You just change the values, save, and then do a search, and off you go. And finally, it's all upgrade proof. So there's a way of doing this that where if you happen to have some particularly bespoke indexes for your service, we can set them up and make sure that they survive between upgrades, which is very helpful. So let's have a quick look at some of the actual screens. This is probably the key screen. It's the search engine configuration, which you get to from the administration screen in the Koha client. And you get these 3 tabs. Let's start with the bibliographic records tab. What this is it is a list of the indexes that exist on the system and which mark fields or subfields are mapped into those indexes. So if we look at author name personal, we can see that we have the 100, the 400, the 700 and 800. So these are all things that can be changed. And if we go to the bottom of this screen, the last entry in this table is where you can add any indexes in here that haven't been put in as default, and then give them mark fields as well. There's a very, very powerful system there. And if there are any indexes that don't exist that you need to have set up, that we can do that for you in an upgrade-proof way, at which point you'll then be able to come to this screen, choose it here, and map it as you wish. Now, just before I go to the other tab, this is the facet order thing I was describing. It's a little bit hidden down here, but you can see this site has decided to have these 5 are the ones they want to display. And not very obviously, but you can actually drag and drop these. So you can order them like that just by dragging and dropping. So, and then you would save that, which I'm not going to do because the RCS have got it set up as they want it. So whizzing back to the top and having looked at the bibliographic side, let's go to the search fields tab, which uses those same things. And here they all are. And on the right-hand side, the main thing here to notice is this is where you put the relevance ranking weightings. Now, they're basically numeric. And the way we've done it here is the highest number obviously gets the highest weighting. So the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland, I think the highest weighting is in the title, which we've got as 264. And then the author has become 128, and we kind of keep halving that number all the way down. And I think we've got one here, index term uncontrolled, which is only 4. I think that's right. So that's how you do it. So I'm not quite sure what significance those numbers have, whether they have to start at that, but that's how it knows which are more to be given more relevance than others. And as I said before, these are things that you can change on the fly, click Save Mappings, and then go back and search, and it will take that into account immediately. So to answer one of the questions in the chat, how do you know whether you've got Elasticsearch running? Well, a good place to start is to go into your administration system preferences, because you have to have this switched on. However, it's not quite as easy as just flicking a switch. You will need to get in touch with us so we can get everything set up properly. But most of you at the moment will have that set to Zebra. And then in terms of other system preferences, in Zebra there are quite a few preferences that sort of now will be obsolete if you're using Elasticsearch, query weight fields, for example, they usually say requires Zebra. The only one that is not obsolete is query fuzzy, which actually says requires Zebra. That's not quite right. If you set that to try and you have Elasticsearch, then you can use this artificial caret symbol in order to put into the search, as I showed you earlier on, so the user can do that in order to boost the ranking of that word, the Mozart, Haydn, Salieri example. That's where you do that. But all these other ones, which have always been a little bit difficult to understand exactly what they're doing, you can kind of forget about, which is rather nice. It's all much clearer in the new search engine interface. So, not the caret, it's the tilde. I should have said it's the tilde symbol. So let's go into some example searches now. And this one is a perennial problem. Lots of sites have had it. It's the apostrophe search issue. What happens if we do or don't include an apostrophe in the search? Does it return the result or not? And this is one that we're very pleased to have cracked. So in here, you can see Carrie's War here has an apostrophe in, but the search has been put in without that, and it still finds that document. But if the searcher does put the apostrophe in, it still finds the document. So you've got the best of both worlds there. And these are done within a mapping file, which we can set up. And again, it's upgrade proof. So we were all very pleased when we managed to get that one fixed, because we've spent a lot of time on that in the past. Another one is to do with the definite article. So things like d apostrophe or l apostrophe, loch large, clock. You can see here it's finding loch large, but if you take the l apostrophe out, it will still find it. So that's quite nice too. It's a little bit more forgiving. And then the wildcard example using the asterisk. In the past, this was a little bit flaky with Zebra. Here it's much more precision-wise, precise. So we've put the asterisk in here, which means that we do get quartet and quartets. There we go, quartets. And if I take the asterisk off, we will hopefully not get that. The results change. So that's more reliable. And then you may have a specialist search set up for your site. This is one that is specialist to the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland. They tag their materials with these things like flute 1, oboe 1. And this was a query that came to our help desk that we weren't able to answer, where they wanted to be able to search for these tags that include those 3 instruments, but not bassoon. And you can see the not is now acting in that Boolean fashion, and therefore we're only getting flutes, oboes and clarinets, so that served that purpose. If you actually put not in, it will use not as a term. So that has all those words in somewhere. In that particular, there's only one record. So I think that's me to hand back to Jonathan. So I'll stop my share. There you go.
Okay. Yeah, so just really, I guess, to wrap up on that session. I mean, one of the big benefits of Zebra is that it's actually very lightweight in terms of a search engine to run. So one of the benefits of that is that you can actually run, you can actually run Zebra on very small pieces of hardware. Unfortunately, Elasticsearch is the complete opposite. It runs using Java on the server side, and it requires a lot of memory just to run it. So typically, we've been able to run Koha systems on very small pieces of hardware. It keeps the cost down hosting costs down for you, keeps the cost down for us. But that does mean that a lot of the smaller systems don't have the legs actually to run to get enough memory to actually run Elasticsearch. So at the minute, we're looking at that and whether we're going to actually have to increase the cost of some of the systems in order to accommodate the extra small cost of the hardware that we incurred. So I think somebody asked about, you know, how do we know whether we're running Elastic or not? Well, at the moment, only the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland are running Elastic, because we've literally just last month sort of finished working on that project. So we're looking internally at some of these questions ourselves at the moment. You know, how do we best keep the cost to a minimum? You know, are there going to be any setup charges? So that is something we're exploring. That our new sites that are going will be going live from this point onwards. We're looking at Elasticsearch as the direction of travel, really. So we are looking at moving those onto Elasticsearch, and this is all part of our sort of exploring Elasticsearch and how do we best implement it. You know, have we got a good set of defaults? You know, can we keep the cost to an absolute minimum in order to implement it? So these are sort of questions we're exploring now. So if that's something you would like to explore as well with us, then we'd be very happy to talk to you about that, because it is, you know, we have actually now got to the point where we can, we know enough about it. It's sort of battle tested, and we know we can move it forward. And we're also just at the point of upgrading our demo system to Elasticsearch as well in the next few weeks. So if you just want to have a little play with it and try some of these things, then you'll be able to do that on our demo system as well. So that's sort of where we are right now. And yeah, like I say, it is really the direction of travel for Koha and for us. So if you were interested in talking to us further about it, then please do get in touch.